Alright guys, so in this video we're going to learn about the process of product launch for a startup. Now for the product to be launched, or if you're having a startup, if you've watched my YPad video, Sir Zishan has founded YPad.com and it's a startup. So what that person has gone through, what process he followed, we're gonna discuss in this video. Okay, so what are the core things of a startup? The first thing is the idea for anything, or if you're having an idea, you wanna create an e-commerce website or any other idea that any idea like you wanna reduce traffic is the main biggest issue. So the idea can be anything. So what are your core things? Your core things are, you gotta have an idea, you gotta have a plan, and then you gotta go through the development phase, then you have to go through the testing phase, then you launch that product, and then you wait for feedback, and then you further, if you get positive or negative feedback, whatever the feedback is, negative feedbacks are very, very important. If you're willing to accept the negative feedback, then only you're gonna improve. Some people get offended by negative feedback, and I think if they're not gonna take the negative feedback, how are they gonna know what's the problem in their business or in their startup? So it's very, very important to take negative feedback. So let's say I wanna, while I was building Thala Studios, the idea was that I followed PewDiePie, I followed Superwoman, I followed many of the YouTubers. So I'm gonna talk about my situation. So I also followed Khan Academy, News Academy, all these channels. So my idea was to create a platform so that students can easily they don't have to be entirely dependent upon their teachers. Sometimes teachers are not available. Sometimes when you go to the staff room, you have to wait or even get insulted, or that's a whole situation. Okay, so the thing is that you have to respect that too, but if the teacher or the resource is not available, you have to have a resource which is available 24/7. So that was the idea to build Thala Studios, and the plan was to have a YouTube channel, and then to have a YouTube channel and to upload videos, and then the development phase was to making tutorials, and testing was if the tutorials were working in 1080p perfectly fine, if the audio is fine, and then the launch, and then the videos were finally uploaded. People gave feedback that you're gonna have to make horizontal videos, Talha, vertical videos are good, but we enjoy horizontals. That was my feedback, and I according to my conditions took the feedback where it was giving me, if my equipment were giving me permission for that feedback, I implemented that feedback. So you have to take the negative feedback and the positive feedback very, very seriously. More than positive feedback, your negative feedback is very, very important. You don't have to take it in an offensive way, but in a way that you could improve yourself. Okay, so the next thing we're gonna learn about is what are the key components of a company. So I'm gonna first write down all those things, and then I'm gonna define it with examples. Number 2 is customer segments. Number 3, channels. Number 4, customer relations, revenue streams, resources, partners, activities, and costs. Now I'm gonna explain this in a while, but first I'm gonna tell you how, if you're sitting in an exam of entrepreneurship and leadership, how you gotta remember this thing. VCCC RR pack. VCCC RR pack. V for value proposition, customer segments, channels, customer relations, revenue streams, resources, partners, activities, and costs. Now value proposition is your innovation in your company, the feature or what is intended, how you're gonna make that company, or how you're gonna attract your customers. It is a clear statement that explains what your product really is. It's an exclamation mark. Now customer segments, what are those? Customer segments are pretty much the groups of individuals that you're dealing with, the target audience. of your product, the target audience. Now, if you consider Talha Studios, your target audience would be, students, teachers, okay. And let's say you have Samsung on the other hand, and Note 9 is about, excuse me, Samsung S9 is about to launch. So what is the might be the target audience for Samsung? So the target audience might be, the owners, the Galaxy 8 owners, okay, or the tech enthusiast, or the ones who are kind of very very geeks, they are super interested in these kind of things. And more importantly, the people who focus on productivity, the entrepreneurs, the business people, the performance oriented people, and pretty much all those audience, all the actors. So these two are the situations of your customer segments. It's the whole situation over here. This is your Talha Studios, and this whole situation is the Samsung for Galaxy S9. By the way, Samsung sent me a mail to register for the Galaxy S9 launch. Anyways, moving back to the topic. Now the next thing is your business channels. Your business channels are, the intermediaries through which your product is being flowed. Now it can include wholesalers, retailers, and distributors. Now let's say Samsung launches, Galaxy Note 8. Now what might be the channels? The Chinese wholesalers can be the channel. The American wholesalers, the Middle Eastern wholesalers, the Pakistani wholesalers. And if you talk about, more precisely, in Karachi you have, Bhavani, and you have Bhavani at Sadr, and you have Vodacom over here at Serena if you want to buy, Galaxy Note 8 for wholesale. So these are pretty much your channels through which your product is being, flowed. Now customer relations are, the ways in which your company communicates and deals with your customers. There's a thing called emotional connection with the product. Now let us consider an example of, Boeing 777. Now I personally have a very, an emotional connection with this product of Boeing. So Boeing should know about this thing, that somewhere in the world a person has an emotional connection with that product. So they're gonna target that particular person and, propose something like that, hey Talha, you wanna invest in Boeing 777. So they gotta know this thing. Now let's talk about revenue streams. Now if you talk about Talha Studios, our revenue stream is, our YouTube channel, our Facebook page. And if you talk about Samsung, they have their flagship phones, like the S8, the Note 8, and the Note 8, the S9, which is about to launch. So these are pretty much their Samsung's revenue streams. And another revenue stream is that they make processors for Apple. So that can also be a revenue stream. They make they pretty much do all commercial setups for a company, so that might be a revenue stream. Then you have your resources, your partners, your activities, your costs. Now if I talk about Talha Studios, you have your resources as a high-speed internet connection. Is very very important to have that. Otherwise I'll not be able to upload videos and get frustrated if I get probably low internet speed. So that might be a resource. Now my partners, what would be my partners? Now somebody I'm collaborating with, let's say a friend of mine, or they're making a YouTube channel, so I'm collaborating with. So collaborative videos that I make might be called as my partners too. Now what are activities? We do marketing, we do promotions, we giveaways, we make tutorials. So that might be your activities. Now what are the costs? The major cost is the internet cost. The data is very very expensive, so the data cost, the studio environment setup, maintenance cost. I have to maintain all my equipments, make sure that they're working fine and they're in proper temperature, they're perfectly clean. So those things can come in your costs. So those were the pretty much your key components of founding a company.